The CEO of a $95 billion company just flew to Nigeria and begged two guys in an apartment to sell him their startup for $200 million. Because without their technology, his empire was about to collapse. But here's what's terrifying. Those two guys just said no, and what they're building next could destroy every American tech company on Earth. March 2007, Nairobi, Kenya. A mobile executive presses send on the first ever M-Pesa transaction, $40. But here's what Silicon Valley missed. That $40 transaction just started the biggest financial revolution in human history. Within 12 months, M-Pesa was processing 6.3 million transactions monthly, worth $225 million on flip phones. No internet required. While Silicon Valley was building payment systems for people who already had money, Africa was building money systems for people who had nothing. But before M-Pesa changed everything, one man had to lose everything. Scotland, early 2000s. Mitchell Alegbe walks up to an ATM. The machine eats his card. Standing there, embarrassed, Mitchell realizes something horrifying. This is exactly what millions of Nigerians face every day. Endless queues, seized cards, dangerous amounts of cash. Most people would get angry and move on. Mitchell got angry and built a solution. That solution became InnoSwitch, worth over $1 billion today, processing 1.2 billion transactions per month. But here's the crazy part. In those early days, nobody wanted it. Nigerian banks laughed at his ideas. They had no idea what was coming. While they were laughing, Mitchell was building something that would make their entire business model obsolete. Silicon Valley, 2016. Selshola Akinlade walks into Y Combinator's demo day. Around him, American startups are pitching shirts that never get dirty, high-tech solutions for first-world problems. Then someone asks Shola about Africa's population. 1 billion people, he replies. The room goes silent. Suddenly, everyone realizes Shola isn't pitching to a small market. He's pitching to the largest underserved population on Earth. That company was Paystack. 4 years later, Stripe bought it for $200 million. But here's what's insane. Paystack wasn't even for sale. Stripe had to beg them to sell. Because by 2020, Stripe realized they couldn't compete in Africa without African technology. The students had become the teachers. Here's what Silicon Valley gets wrong about Africa. They see constraints as problems. Africans see constraints as opportunities. No internet? Build USSD banking that works on any phone. No credit cards? Create mobile money systems. No bank branches? Build agent networks in every neighborhood. Ham Saranhogi learned this when he pitched Chipper Cash to Silicon Valley VCs. They told him to go find donations. One investor was brutally honest. I have to apply a discount to this business because it's in Africa. Today, Chipper Cash has raised over $300 million. Those same VCs are now begging for meetings. Because he learned something Silicon Valley refuses to accept. Africa doesn't need their permission to innovate. $1.1 trillion. That's how much money Africa processes through mobile payments every year. 65% of the world's total mobile money volume. 9 unicorn companies worth over $1 billion each. 650 million mobile users, more than the entire United States and Europe combined. 60% of Africa's 1.4 billion people are under 25. But here's the number that should terrify every Silicon Valley executive. 74% of African web traffic comes from mobile. Africa isn't catching up to the rest of the world. The rest of the world is trying to catch up to Africa. Google invested $1 billion in African startups. Meta is spending $10 billion on submarine cables around Africa. They're not investing in Africa's future. They're desperately trying to save their own. But what happens when the students become better than the teachers? If these numbers are blowing your mind, you need to subscribe, because what I'm about to show you will change how you see the entire tech industry. Hit that subscribe button. You won't regret it. Story gets even crazier. Remember when Facebook thought they could help Africa? Free Basics, Mark Zuckerberg's grand plan to give Africans internet access. 200 curated websites, mostly in English, for a continent that speaks over 2,000 languages. The arrogance was breathtaking. While Facebook was offering crumbs, M-Pesa was processing half of Kenya's GDP. While Google Pay required credit cards, Africans built mobile money for people with nothing. While Silicon Valley built for people who already had everything, Africa built for everyone else, and everyone else turned out to be most of the world. Now Facebook, Google, and Amazon are spending billions to catch up. Iyinoluwa Aboyeji was 14 when tragedy turned him into Africa's most dangerous entrepreneur. He co-founded Andela, valued at $1.5 billion. Then he co-founded Flutterwave, worth $3 billion. Then he became Africa's most influential seed investor. One man, 3 major wins, billions in value created, and Silicon Valley had never heard of him. Iyinoluwa recently said something that should terrify every American tech executive. There's nothing to disrupt in a continent where not a lot has been built. Translation: Africa gets to build everything from scratch with modern technology, while America is stuck maintaining legacy systems. 2023, New York City. Flutterwave just secured 13 money transmission licenses across US states. They're processing payments for Uber, Microsoft, and PayPal in America, using African technology, built by Nigerian engineers. Wave achieved majority market share in Senegal faster than Venmo conquered college campuses. MoneyPoint processes more transactions monthly than Visa processed in its early years. But here's the most shocking part. African solutions work better than American ones. McKinsey found African fintech is 80% cheaper than traditional Western banking. This isn't charity. This is superior technology. By 2050, Africa will have 2.5 billion people. By 2035, more young Africans will enter the workforce annually than the rest of the world combined. These aren't just statistics. These are customers, developers, entrepreneurs, all growing up mobile first. How do you bank people without bank accounts? How do you move money without credit cards? These aren't African problems. These are human problems, and Africa solved them first. While Silicon Valley was optimizing for people who already had everything, Africa was innovating for people who had nothing. Guess which approach works for more people? Remember Patrick Collison flying to Lagos? Stripe didn't just buy Paystack for the African market. They bought Paystack for Paystack's technology. Technology that works better than anything Stripe had built. This isn't acquisition. This is surrender. Visa partnered with InterSwitch. Western Union integrated with M-Pesa because they realized something terrifying. They can't compete. They can only collaborate or get left behind. Today, MoneyPoint processes $150 billion annually. Flutterwave operates across 4 continents. InterSwitch just celebrated 20 years of sheer grit. The revolution that started with a 40 M-Pesa transaction has become a $1.1 trillion mobile money ecosystem. Silicon Valley finally notices, but they're not leading anymore. They're following. The entrepreneurs they once ignored are now teaching them how to build the future. The question isn't whether African tech will compete with Silicon Valley. The question is whether Silicon Valley can adapt fast enough to stay relevant. In a world where the majority of new internet users are African, where the most innovative solutions are built by African entrepreneurs for African problems that turn out to be global problems. The students have become the teachers. The revolution is complete, and it's just getting started. But here's the final twist that nobody saw coming. Remember Patrick Collison flying to Lagos in 2020? He just announced Stripe's next $50 million investment in another African startup. One that's building something even bigger than payments. Something that could make every Western tech company obsolete. Again. The revolution isn't over. It's entering phase 2, and Silicon Valley has no idea what's about to hit them. That African startup getting Patrick Collison's $50 million. They're building the technology that will replace the entire internet, and they're closer than you think. If you want to know which company is about to trigger the next trillion-dollar disruption, you need to subscribe right now, because I'm revealing everything in the next video. The name, the technology, the timeline, and why Silicon Valley is about to get blindsided again. Hit subscribe. You don't want to miss this.